Alright, so in this tutorial, I will be covering the basis of C programming. Right, so C programming is just a normal programming language that we use and is termed as procedural programming. Depending on the type of compiler you're using, this is Dev++. So to create a project, you just come to File, come to New Project, and then you want to choose Windows Console application. You click on OK. You also choose C, despite C++, you click on OK. So that is it. You would have to name your application here. I'll just allow it as project one and I click on save. So when you click on save, it comes out with this main or default function. So the first thing you have to understand is that in C, when you want to start your program, you use this include studio.h. So this include studio.h is just like what makes it to be C, the standard input and output. And then you also have to include stdlibrary.h. So this one here is not that important, but normally now, as of the recent update, you would always have this kind of coming. So here is just like a default function, which is the main function that carries parameters int and char, which are arguments, and return 0. So this is the first thing. So moving over to the next thing here, let us talk about variables. So a variable is simply a container that holds a certain value. So a container holding a certain value is just like something that carries another thing. And the way we declare variables in C, we make use of the data type of that specific variable. So I'll use comments here to kind of explain what I'm trying to talk about. So I'll use this comment. All right, so this is the comment, and in C, a variable is simply a container for storing data values. So a variable is a container that is used for storing data values. So this is what a variable is. And in C, for you to be able to define the variable, you must use the data type of the variable. So you use the data type of that specific variable. So that is it. So for example, if it is an integer, maybe integer you are defining x, you say int x maybe equals to 10. If it is a float, you say float maybe y equals to maybe 12.5, and let us say char, let's say name should be equals to your name. All right, so these are the different types of variables that we have. So declaring a variable, first of all, you have to understand how you declare a variable in C. And when you understand how to declare a variable, we just simply say in C, before you declare any variable, the first thing you want to use, write, is the data type of that variable. Then next, the variable name. Then if you want to assign the variable to a value, use equal to, you put the value, and then you put a semicolon. So that is it. So if you're declaring different variables of different data types, you will basically understand what you're supposed to define. So in this example here, you see we are defining int, float, and character set. Now, how do you manipulate variables? So variables, for instance, you can create variables for addition, variables for subtraction, and other stuff. Let's get into our main program and do something cool. So let's use over here, let's just say my num. Let's say there's a variable called my num int my num, and this is the variable my num. If you don't want to assign my num over there, you can come over here. So let us say this is assigning variable. You can just say my num should be equals to maybe, let's say 12, and then this. And then if you want to print that, you can just say print f in bracket you put my num, something like this. You end with a semicolon, and then if you kind of run this over here, compile and run, you should definitely see the output. All right, let's save the main function. Main class already exists. Do you want to replace it? Yes, let's see. Okay. Okay. um I don't know why the execution failed. All right, so in this example here we have int my num. We assign int my num to 15, int my other num is equals to 23, and then now I want to say int my num equals to my other num, meaning that you want to swap 15, that is from 15 to 23. So I have this. So if we say printf, so percentage g is used to print a number, percentage s and percentage char used to print char and the other values like float, percentage f. So here if I click on run, you should definitely see an output. Let me drag it and bring it this way. So we have an output 23. So this is variable, so you can definitely print any type of variable you want to print. Let's try to print hello world and see the result. So I can just come down here and I say print f, and we say hello world, and then we just put our semicolon, we save, and then we run the program. It's showing that something is on build, but I don't have anything running here. So if you come over here and you click on run, you should definitely see hello world printing together with it. Now let's talk about addition, adding two numbers. Let's create two variables a and b, and we add a and b together. So let's go. So if here we want to create two variables, we have already variable num, my num and my other num. Instead of saying my num equals to this, let's say add num should be equals to my num plus the other num. Okay, so let's say int add num should be equals to my num. We change this to plus my other num, and then we just want to print out add num to see the output. So here my num will be added to my other num. So that is what the output should be. So if you say what is 15 plus 13, that is what our answer would be. So let us run the program. As you can see here, the answer is 38. So that's addition. Now for subtraction, you just have to kind of replace this addition sign with a minus sign. So that is all. So if I run the program now, instead of adding, it should subtract. And if I run the program, you should see that what we have there should be something minus something. As you can see, our answer is negative 8. 15 minus 23 is negative 8. Now let us talk about how you can multiply. Multiplication, you just have to change this sign over here to multiplication. You use a star, and here it's no more subtraction, it will be multiplication. And if I run this, you will have the multiplication of 15 times 23. So here you should have the multiplication of 15 times 23, which is 345. So that is it. So that is how you can do this, and you can kind of display it. Now let's talk about division. Now for you to be able to divide two numbers, all you have to do is to use the division sign. The division sign is slash. So if you look over here, what we first of all did is we declared the first number int my num is 15, second number int my other num is 23. Now we are using these two numbers to kind of do our mathematical operations. So here I want to use divided, which means my num divided by my other num. If I run this, you should definitely see an answer displaying. So here it displays 0. The reason why it displays 0 is because we are printing an integer. An integer is a positive whole number, so an integer can never ever be less than that, especially in decimals. And also when the number becomes insignificant because we used int, that is what happens. So if here we use float, for instance, float, let's try to run it to see what happens, and we'll see. So over here it still print 0. So let me change this to percentage %f, meaning that we are printing a float. So it still kind of will return the same thing, but not this way, but it includes decimal signs. So that's the difference between float, integer, and double. You could also use double. All right, so let us see division. Now let's talk about arrays. So an array, when you talk about an array is just a data type that stores values of the same data type. So an array is just like an entity set that stores data of the same data type. So in C, for you to be able to have an array, the array should have data of the same data type. Meaning that if you are storing strings, it should be strings. If you are storing floats, it should be floats. If you are storing integer values, it should be integer values. If you are storing double values, they should be double values. So how do you declare an array in C? This is how you declare an array in C. So here we have an example of an array that we have declared. So first you have to declare the array by stating the data type of that array. The values that the array will be carrying will be of which data type. The next thing is the name of the array. The name of the array. The next thing is these two square brackets. So you put this square bracket and you also close it. Then you put your equals to and you open your braces. So in the braces now you define all your values and you put a comma there. When you're done, you close your braces and then you add a semicolon. So that is how you declare an array. Let us declare another array together. So here, let's say int my max, you put this, you come here, you say equals to, you open your braces. Let us put values now 12, comma 13, comma 14, comma 11, comma maybe 13. So that is how you declare an array in C. And we are done, you add your semicolon. So that's it. Now next, how can you loop through an array? Let's talk about loops. So in C, there are different types of loops, and there are mainly three types of loops in C. So in C, we have three types of loops. So we have the for loop, we have the for loop, we have the do while loop, and we have the while loop. Now this is how a for loop kind of looks like. Let's write a for loop. So this is it. So what you need to say, you say for you open your bracket, and then inside the bracket you put your statement, you put your statement 2, and you put your statement 3. And then inside of this you want to put the block of code that will run whenever you run that. So now let's do a perfect example under the for loop. Now let's say we wanted to write a loop. You can say for, you open your bracket, the first statement I equals to 0 semicolon, second statement I is less than, let's say, 4 semicolon, third statement you can say I plus plus, or either I minus minus, and this plus plus stands for increment, minus minus stands for decrement. In this we just want to tell the array to print f. In bracket we want to put our percentage t, which means we are printing a float, then we put backslash n, meaning that we want to print to the next line, and then you put comma, you put I. So this is what we actually want to print. All right, so let me take this off. I run this, let's see what will happen. All right, it's showing an error here. I think I know where the error is coming from. You have not declared I yet, so if you say int I, you can say int I, you can say int, okay, let's just say int I, then we run again. Semicolon, so don't always forget your semicolons. As you can see, this is our output here. So when the loop is 0, it prints nothing. When it's 1, it prints 1. When it's 2, it prints 2. When it's 3, it prints 3. And when it's 4, it does not print, because our condition states that when I is less than 4. So when I arrives 3, the loop breaks. So that is for loop. Now let's talk about the other loops in C. Alright, let's talk about a while loop. So a while loop has its basic structure. So this is the structure of a while loop. So you want to say while, in bracket condition, you open your curly braces, and then you type the code you want to happen. So if you come down here, you can kind of write a while loop. Let's still use X and write a while loop. So let me remove this over here, and then we'll put our while loop to be this. So we have int X over here, while I is less than 5, print percentage %d I plus plus. If I run this program, you should definitely see what happens. Let me remove the for loop so that you will see what happens. So if I run this program, it will print from 1 to 4. Sorry, we have it here. So it prints from 1, 2, 3, and 4. So that is a while loop, and that is how you use a while loop. So this is all about what you need. So we spoke about variables, how to declare variables. I would say that to declare variables in C, you use the data type followed by the variable name if you want to assign now, followed by what you're assigning it to. Same, we spoke about addition, multiplication, subtraction, and here we just showed you guys. Here we are using this particular statement here to add either my norm to my other norm, or divide my norm from my other norm, or simply multiply, subtract, do whatsoever we want to do. The next, we saw how to print, and also we saw how to declare an array in C. Also, we saw how we could work with for loops and while loops. So thank you for watching. Don't forget to subscribe to this channel.